disengage, but KT pretty balanced in their draft now. On the side of Kongdu Monster, they also have an engage heavy draft. So it's all about the team fights. And that means the snowball is very likely to impact this game as it goes on.
Yeah, and I'm going to be looking towards Secret to try to pick up some big rooms with the Abyssal Voyage. We've seen so many Tahm Kench's not just be the saving grace with Devour, but also really rule the entire Rift with the mobility that you can get with that kind of maneuver. The Abyssal Voyage on Tahm Kench, of course. See what he can do. I mean, obviously, if you travel with someone like a Malzahar or even a Jarvan, you can make anyone's life on the Rift very miserable, especially guys such as Pawn and Deft, who are on a couple of carries that absolutely do not have escapes.
We're seeing great synergy between Secret and Edge so far, and just this duo of the Tahm Kench and the Malzahar. You can launch the Malzahar into the backline and get a lot of catches you don't expect. So there's a lot of synergy between Tahm Kench and Malzahar. We've only seen once on the Rift, but I imagine that KT will be ready for it. As we see the Tahm Kench roaming through mid, that's going to be a strategy they consider.
Yeah. It's really going to be up to the roams there and the vision here for KT to make sure that they can scout these guys out before they do go for the big roam. So looking forward to see if Kongdu can put something together to take down one of the best teams we have here in Korea. And looks like we're almost ready to get into this one as a pause is coming in. Not sure what issue we have just yet.
Hopefully we get confirmation on that one. Had a lot of audio issues over at the OGN Stadium, so hard to say what's happening here. Smeb's 5th anniversary being celebrated by so many people. We had 3 different fan groups come through and shower us with gifts. Also a Deft fan. I saw an alpaca. I know what to expect. Actually looks like another animal cosplaying as alpaca, but I'll appreciate it. There is Smeb on your screen. Now seen as one of the best top laners in the world, but not able to really stand up to the assignment that was Khan in the last series. So see what he makes of things. We haven't seen a return of his Riven. He's been largely much more away from lane dominance. Actually his first Vladimir game of the season. So I'd love to see him overtake a lane, even though early Roach will be able to do plenty of work with the Gnar.
Yeah, Roach definitely has a big game ahead of him. He's sitting 2-6 on that Gnar, looking for some success on this pick. But either way, guys, enough dilly-dallying. We are going to get into game number 1, Kongdu Monster versus KT. Let's do it. Here we go, guys. We're at match 40, nearing that middle of the entirety of spring. Very, very close as we near, of course, match 45. It should be right in the middle.
Decision here by Deft. Look at this. He actually started Relic Shield on patch 8.2. That's very interesting. No longer provides the Quest Shield anymore, and also the Sustain is lessened when it's used by a ranged wearer. So between the two things, a lot of interesting things to talk about. Could lead to more vision. Could just be for the Bandit passive for poke, but he's against Ezreal Tahm Kench, so I guess you could get a lot of poke onto Tahm Kench and pick up gold generation, but whether he just leaves it and that upgrades it into Targons. We're learning something new here, because usually when I go into solo queue and my AD carry has a Relic Shield, it's because they didn't read the patch notes, Valdez.
Yeah. I remember you told me about one game where you had a Vayne who came in and picked up Relic Shield and went something like 0-5 kind of
Yeah,
fed.
you know, it was a bit of a car crash waiting to happen. As Deft's getting super aggressive. He clearly wants a Bandit proc, doesn't get one.
You see that a lot, actually. I saw it a lot today, at least, where if you've got a slow of some sort, you can just walk up, slow them, trying to deny them some experience and also some gold by missing a minion.
Speaking of denial, Pawn actually invaded at level 1 to put down a ward onto the enemy blue, so that's the sort of thing that does suggest to me that Score might be doing some battle warding, some aggressive invading. If they translate that into more than just information, they know now that Jarvan is going for a very standard 3-camp clear, looking for a level 3 gank. Ray's been one of our premier level 2 gank mid jump woods, but not doing that in this game.
Edge having some unfortunate bounces on his E there, but either way, Not a big deal in the end. Just gonna get slightly behind Pawn in mid lane. As Malzahar, level 1, level 2. Not the most fun. Has that minion dematerializer, which has become oh so popular on mid laners nowadays. Notice both of them do have it.
All about controlling level 3, level 4 being the big story there. With the minion dematerializer, doesn't impact the first minion wave or the second, but from the third onwards you can do some work. So Pawn is happy to push in. See what the build is, how respectful he wants to go against Malzahar. QSS rush, lost chapter into QSS, a lot of different schools of thought. Could also just try to avoid buying a QSS and just go Banshee Veil, but the amount of risk there versus the reward is usually not enough. The earlier information about the pathing from Raze. Good read here by Score to be on the bottom side. Only cam up is the Crow. I'll be thinking that one.
Kongu actually won the matchup against KT Rolster in the round 2 of spring 2017. I don't really remember that, but
I remember it vaguely, but it falls into the narrative because the last game of the first round robin in spring was against SKT. They lost that one, lost the telecom war, and from there they did start losing to opposition who would fancy them to beat. Unfortunately, KT have traditionally, after a big match, found it hard to step up and correct their flaws afterwards. See if they're able to do that here, and there's the confirmation. So when it comes to double sustain for the Varus, and there's no quest shield. So, right, expected that to be enough to dissuade it being picked up. The only reason you'll see it is for a bit of faster pushing, a bit of more gold generation for Mada to move towards his first item. Maybe this is going to be pseudo Ardent Sensor. Maybe we'll see something like the pickup on Zeke's Convergence, which has been a new favorite for Rakans to justify the purchase, but it is a bit strange to me when Doran Blade just feels like it now fills the role that it was always intended to after Relic Shield was so toned down.
We'll just have to wait and see how that fleshes out down on the bottom side. Pawn trying to make roam work. We've been seeing this out of out of Talia's, and Score is up here as well. 3 members trying to come in here onto Rhodes, and they're going for the kill, the flash forward, at least to get the flash.
Yeah, Score missed the W there on the flash, tried to follow, but ended up missing. The skill's a good flash. My Rhodes denies that one. No harm, no foul. It was as Malzahar was backing. Malzahar gets a lost chapter in the shop. That's still something to talk about. Talia's gonna walk back mid lane, push out, and maybe there'll be a chance for Raze to hit a lane while the Talia is off the mid.
Definitely might have an opportunity here, and see some harass coming onto Secret by Defted Mana. Always interesting to see how good the Tarics are. They're Dazzles in lane and outside. We've seen some incredible plays with, especially with the junglers in tandem. Zach's jumping in and getting the Dazzle down. Jarvan's flagging and dragging in. Trying to make it work. Raze, still looking for that king.
Been a lot more patient this game. Hasn't tried to be too transparent in his early games. Talk about the summoners, but once again, supports have gone into the now common Unsealed Spellbook line. That seems to be the favorite choice. Spellbook on Edge, Spellbook on Smap. Those ones are very common as well. And at least for the early game, no intention topside apart from the attempted dive. Smap doing very comfortably in the Gnar matchup. Gnar expected to go defensive early with a bit of magic resist, but after the Spectre's Cowl, we'll go into Black Cleaver and have some decent trade potential against the Vladimir.
TP coming in from Secret down to the bottom lane, looking to hold that wave. So make sure you guys are counting your unsealed spellbooks. Keeping in mind, 2 could potentially teleport into your lane. Kongdu could have 3, and of course KT could have 1, 2 on their side.
So now farm. No severe advantage when it comes to compositions. I feel like Kongdu Monster a lot about the catch. You always say that when you see a Malzahar.
I don't
There's some
fucking
good options as the game goes on. 1-3-1, depending on how big the Vladimir gets. Could be tricky for them. Still something they would like to engineer. For KT, once again feel good about a Talia drop, because a lot of the Talias recently, crowned earlier this week, have been unable to set up the famous Weaver's Wall behind an objective siege plays that are very possible for KT, especially have the eyes on the enemy jungler, which they clearly do.
Raze totally caught out here. That's going to be the Glacial Prison into beating the kill to Pawn. They made that look extremely easy, and that will be first blood.
Yeah, Raze was so low in the jungle, would have been solo killed by Score, but why not pick up the kill involvement onto Pawn, get him closer to the lost chapter after rushing QSS. They steal away the enemy blue as well, and it's become a bit too often the story that Raze has been invaded, and then Concrete Monster have fallen around.
They don't even want to stop there. Here comes the Vladimir ultimate in, as well as a TP. Score eating some damage here, no blast plan. That was Edge from the mid lane, actually, to TP up into the top lane. You see top laner approach.
Does mean that he's going to lose. There's a minion wave in mid lane. And Score 100% killed this phase, 6 of course. Still very, very early into the game. Strong laning 2v2 bot side for KT, so no worries there whatsoever. But this time, compared to the previous series where they drafted the Galio comp, never got the engage they were looking for, kind of missed their timings. They've started with an early invade. They got a lot of value out of their first global use in the Weaver's Wall. Seem much more coordinated after being a bit all at sea against Kingzone Dragon Eggs.
Still looking for that first roam from Secret. Has hit level 6, but outside of that, doesn't really have too many other items. They still have so much potential with flashes up on Edge, Raze, and even Secret. If they do want to make that happen. Even if they lock someone down for a long time, they could potentially have Soul and True Shot Barrage from the bottom lane. It's definitely a lot of options for them that they still have not put into play just yet.
Back on the double relic shield, because again, it's very surprising to see this on patch 8.2. Can't really be overstated. One thing you can say is that although there's a little bit less sustain than there was before, now it's going to be double relic shield sustain and a tier for sustain, and it's on a carry who wants to lane until he picks up the Rage Blade. So if you want to basically guarantee the longest extended lane possible, perhaps this is something you can consider. It's also picking up quite a lot of gold generation from it, mainly the shield boss and also the bandit. So it's a very different way to approach, and I'm not convinced that just going Doran Blade is not the right way to go, but AT are clearly seeing something, and Deft was one of the first people in Korea to go down the relic shield line during the off-season, and came across the meta on patch 8.1.
Maybe if they're just totally expecting no action at all whatsoever, and you just want to lane forever, this might just be the option for you, the answer for your lane.
If Score's never going to go bot lane, it's also going to be a pretty decent choice. It's tough to be Raze.
Raze died without even poking the KT champions.
It's true. I mean, he died in CC duration, so that's an unfortunate look. He'll hope to raise that one. If we can get above 612, that'd be nice.
That's the hope, of course. Our Sejuani score has already beaten that number.
I wonder if Roach's purchase will pay off. We see this sometimes, early execution of calling on a ranged auto attacker against a Vlad, but the build path, obviously, it only really builds into the Mortal Reminder, which is not something that Nara is expected to build this game. So it's purely for lane control only. If you go this build and lose in CS, it doesn't seem worth it, as Raze is getting a bit cute here.
He tries to engage up to Smeb, who has everything available right now, and a stopwatch is going to be blown. They give the kill over to Pawn. Even Mata TP'd it. Even Mata TP'd, but still, not enough.
Yeah, maybe Yujun needs to come in game 2.
That was definitely not a good look, Pop.
I don't know what he was thinking could happen. I kind of look back and think of all the permutations of what could happen in that scenario, and I feel like all of them were bad for Raze, so I think he just misread the situation horribly. He's his top laner, now has no pressure, of course he's dead. The execution is calling very unlikely to matter. If you're winning, there's definitely a great win more purchase against Vladimir, but now your Black Cleaver's delayed so comically long. I mean, spent 800 gold on execution is calling that doesn't build into anything. You're realistically going to build at any time in the next 30 minutes. Yeah, things looking really tricky here for Hungry Monster, not wanting to roll over against KT Rolls.
I think KT kind of took a page out of Afrika's book and said, oh, we don't even have to ban out Raze. He's just not really going to do much in the game anyway. And so far, they've been right. They gave him the Jarvan. They are trying to set up a play down on the bottom side, but Soul is kind of suspiciously right next to the ward. They're like, okay, well, we know know you're going to come in here and do something.
The question you ask is why isn't Tom Kench in lane? There was no reason for him to exit lane. They knew he wasn't roaming up, so they put 2 and 2 together. Like you say, the ward gave them more information. Speaking of wards, they at least know this has been started, but can't see the exact HP. They can now control ward over the wall.
Score is still going to secure this one. Raze this time says, well, I'm not going to make the same mistakes twice. Just let it go.
This is the score we asked for. We mentioned that Score has had a down season. He is schooling Raze in this game. The matchup doesn't necessarily lend it to it, of course. The Sejuani and the Sejuani and the Jarvan, very similar champions in the early game clearing. But Score has picked up all the advantage, been involved in both kills, denying camps under the nose of the enemy jungle. We're piling on, we're bullying here, Valdez, if we're KT Rolster.
We are.
And now we have the mid lane turret going down against a global. So they have the global lead and they have the mid lane turret lead. The map is wide open for KT Rolster, and basically everywhere, every laner here now has to cower in fear because they're not going to have much vision on the positioning of Paul.
Ocean Drake early. It's not super early, but it's still a decent timing for KT. They'll just add even more regen to their team. Looks like a second Ocean Drake is going to be the next one. So, not going to be triple Infernal this game, but still. Nice Drake to have early.
Only good news stories from KT. Range may be compared to just a mana move. So the Muramana transformation might be early, but if you don't have a Sheen, your cooldown reduction is pretty low. You don't have the same strength in your Q harass, so really no worries here whatsoever about Soul will bring out a lane. They have massive sustain with double Relic Shield and the tier, and it's pretty clear that I think Deft is just going to leave it at the Relic Shield and use it for gold generation. Yeah, the map is so wide open for KT Rolster. They're ahead in every single lane, even though Nara does well in the matchup against Vlad. Many different ways to say that KT is winning. Now action onto Raze specifically, but also Kongnu Monster. They need to find a way to actually get a foothold in this game. Otherwise, it's going to kind of lose organically around them.
Yeah, Raze just kind of awkwardly trying to find a place on the map where you can have some sort of engage or presence at all. But he's just going to be farming up here. They still haven't made an Nethergrass work. I mean, did he even use the Nethergrass in this game? Not that I saw, Papa.
No, he's not. If he has the ultimate hat, he's not getting much value out of that sorcery. Yeah. And he isn't a sorcery tree, and that's pretty standard pickup from Malzahar, so that's a bit of a feels bad. No point ulting Pawn because he has the QSS, and now Score is already getting comically tanky after he's finished up the Giant Spell on his way to Warmox. Feels like he's got some turret diving he wants to do, and bot lane seems like the likely recipient, as Score might naturally path down there.
Nice bit of forward warding here by Mata and Score as a team, but you can see triple control ward now out of Kongnu. They're saying, okay, get your wards the hell out of our red side jungle. We don't want you to have any vision. So at least they've got that going for them.
Consider the position of very defensive for this early game. 15 minutes to have that defensive triangle. That's the sort of wards you see at 35 minutes when you're against a Baron buff. You don't want to just die straight after someone gets picked. Super ultra defensive. All it gives them, realistically, is not control over camps, but control over the enemy, having a deep ward to get very early information as to where Jarvan is. They're saying, well, if they don't know that Jarvan's on the bot side, we can threaten a gank, but Score and Pawn are just going to walk up. This doesn't actually stop Pawn from roaming. That's why these wards aren't great, is that usually control wards on the bot side stop a Talia from using Weaver's Wall. They're so defensive they won't see the Talia leave lane. And when Score face checks, he has no worries about being all in. So honestly, he has like 225 gold worth of waste on the side of Kongnu Monster in my estimation.
You can see that KT was trying to make a play down in bottom side. And once again, Score coming in here, getting that vision back, as we were talking about. But that turret is getting very low. We're already below half health.
No Devours on cooldown.
Yep. Coming down here, and here comes the Talia along with Score, who actually has to Arcane Assault over the wall, and that's going to be one kill here. The rest of them just being bopped underneath the turret. They can't even do anything. Raze trying to do a cute little flag and drag flash combination, but just gets himself killed. And that is 4 kills on the side of KT, making this look like a bully fest problem.
Is it live or replay? Are we sure this is not Kingzone versus KT game 1? Because KT are completely obliterating Kongnu Monster. No good news story. This is perfect game pace from them. as we go on, you couldn't be any better at 17 minutes. There's 7,000 gold ahead. The enemy jungler has died 3 times. The control wards was so defensive, you thought it was a mistake, and now KT. Again, it's very hard to use appropriate broadcast words to say how far behind Kongdu Monster are. They saw the Devour, so Death is like, I'm just gonna ult the nearest person. It ends up being the Tahm Kench. Cosmic Radiance Charm. And that's when Kongdu Monster knew they were done.
5 of them getting hit by the Vladimir ultimate. Pawn. I mean, Raze does save Roach, I suppose.
He EQ flashed. It was nice mechanics, but unfortunately he also dies.
He's like, remember, I can still play Jarvan, but it doesn't really matter.
That's kind of the scary thing, is the best news in the early parts of the season were how good Raze was looking and a new team on an unfamiliar role. A lot of the interviews with Kongdu Monster and also their preseason was how much they put trust in their jungler. And from ahead, that trust is founded, but from behind, he's found it so hard, and now they turn onto Mouse.
Well, he's trying to turn it on to the Sejuani, and here comes the Tahm Kench with the help of Soul, so they do have a bit of a 4-on-1 going on, but a perfect blasting plan gets him over the wall here, and Edge is going to be the one that falls in the end. Pawn getting low too, but does survive.
That one goes down, still perfect game pace. Vladimir takes down the Malzahar, caught in transition. The control was starting to stick so much more aggressively by KT Rolster, taking away every single jungle camp. Raze gonna try and fight back for his blue. Good luck with that one.
Yeah. This is the kind of game where I know you as an analyst kind of have trouble because there's not much to analyze here. It's just one team getting bopped on the head.
What do you want to talk about, Valdez?
Not the most fun time for Kongdu. I don't know. Punk folks are kind of tough, actually.
Yeah, we weren't shown on screen for the second series if you missed the start of the show. When the international dress. If you missed this, well, this is a big gold lead pushing up, and Edge doesn't do any damage, of course. Warmock's basically already complete on it. Scorched almost dies, but a nice little blasting gun. And look, I can do play, by the way, in case. And then Edge found Smeb, and that was sad news for him.
Pawn took a little bit of damage. Actually, got the yellow little crabby thing from the Tahm Kench. Almost got devoured. Got out of there alive.
The same way we knew from the successful bans by Jinner, I believe they were the first team to double ban out the Jarvan and Zac. While that's not being done anymore, it still tells the same story of if you can hold Raze in check, it doesn't feel like Kongdu Monster have a second strategy. I feel like that's the only way they're able to win games. It is damning that Raze has never won on a jungle that isn't Jarvan or Zac. He's tried other ones, but hasn't found any success on them. Kongdu Monster, you know, pre-season, I had the 2 lowest ranked teams as Kongdu and Rox Tigers. Rox Tigers, oh boy, was I wrong on that. A lot of their players done a lot of development. Kongdu were looking like they would also be a different proposition, with Raze having a great start to the season, but unfortunately for them, this feels like a return to Kongdu of a year ago, where when they have that step up to the LCK, they just don't have the power on the Rift to necessarily hold it with the big boys. The funny thing about Kongdu was that even in their seasons where they won 2, 3, 4 best of 3s, they were actually really good from ahead. They were good at closing out games compared to someone like Spenu Sonic Boom that were famous for mismanaging their win conditions. The problem for Kongdu was they very often lost the early game, and then, of course, it was irrelevant how good they were from ahead. So, struggle here for Kongdu Monster is games like this that are really looking hard. They're going to try something at least.
Well, they trapped 2 people, and Pawn on the Talia has no escape. Can they actually complete the kill, though? The stopwatch into the Cosmic Radiance. They want to keep this perfect game going, and they may just do that. There's the flash forward from Defton. Oh, no, score died. Well, no perfect game, but almost perfect, I suppose. Double kill goes over to Death. 3 more members of Kongdu do die. Domination continues.
He's playing like a team there, backing out Pawn. It was so close to going down. Edge could not use the ult to finish him off. That's why he didn't flash ult onto the Talia. Would have just been cleansed away. Out of top lane turrets goes down. Outer ring has been dead for a while now. Watch the replay. Thor did die through all of this, but this was basically Kongdu saying, we have to try something now, otherwise the map will be warded, we'll never get back into the game. When you're already behind by a lot in gold, Horn really on point. Great timing. Deft also in position. A little heal coming through from Mata was enough, and then it was the killing fields for KT.
Score didn't have to go back in. He should have just backed off. He would have lived. He got hit by the Q and Malzahar and just died to the little minion dudes that I always forget the name of.
Voidlings.
Yeah, Voidlings.
He comes from the Void, Valdez.
He does, yeah. Like many others.
He'd probably prefer to take a trip back to the Void right now. Summoner's Rift not working out for him.
Yeah, Summoner's Rift vacation, not too fun. Not what he envisioned.
Well, at least Raze has gone above 0 damage. It's up to 2631.
That's better.
Many orders of magnitude higher. Will he out-damage Secret? That's always the question we have to ask when Jungler's fall behind.
Yeah. Well, he is out-damaging Mata so far. Tarek, famously, not too much damage.
We wondered where he would go in terms of build, but despite having so much extra gold, it's going to be very standard for Mata. Merc Tread's purchase, going to work on the Redemption next. They're trying to squish Pawn, and I think they will.
Yeah, he doesn't have Flash available, so he does shut down that killing spree. A nice chunk of gold goes over to Soul on the Ezreal.
Well, there's so many issues across the map that a pick like that means almost nothing because they can't turn on Baron, the minion waves aren't in order, they don't have vision to turn a pick into anything, so it's just gold. A feel-good moment, but just gold for the side of Kongdu. I'm wondering when KT is going to start DPSing down the Baron.
Okay, well, that Executioner's Calling coming in handy here up against Smeb, looking for the solo kill, and he gets it. Smeb just not able to get out of there, had his flash, but no ghost. Decides not to flash away from that one.
And Roach puts up his hand and says, well, in the middle of all the madness, I was able to finish an Adaptive Helm and the Black Cleaver. I can turn onto the Vladimir. He's the only person who hasn't died this game from the side of Kongdu Monster, and they've at least got something going for them, so that's good for Kongdu.
There's always that scary moment. Feels like the solo queue when you begin to throw, but it's definitely maneuvers by Kongdu that are opening up these kills for them. The potential to come back. It still is a very wide gold lead here, about 8,000 at 24 minutes into the game.
But it's something that we have to see Kongdu Monster do more of, is trying to force skirmishes elsewhere where the Varus is. This Varus right now is super ahead. He has 3 items. He has also the sort of build that will just cleave through multiple members of Kongdu. There's the sheer amount of gold involved. So they want to force 2v2s, 1v1s. Here is the 1v1. As you can see, Smeb didn't start this low health. Because Executioner's Calling procs on all forms of physical damage, it does proc on the first boomerang. Nowhere for Smeb to go. Doesn't even need a frozen mallet if you hit all of your Qs. Now Smeb, who has gone Ghost Flash, will probably hope that he stays in the lane away from Roach, wherever possible.
It's funny how that one item, you were talking about how it delays your build, but you do see the power of it there. See what happens when the Vladimir begins to flank and do some fun in the team fights. Definitely where we see some late game crazy Vladimir plays.
And to be clear, Smeb is in no way built for lane. There's no Seeker's Arm Guard. There's no magic resist in the build apart from a QSS. He's pretty much built for, I'm going to Ghost Flash on the enemy backline, ult them, and then whatever happens, I'll be happy. KT can start Baron at any moment. It's a max damage build. Play the Rune King second from Death says, I want to do Baron early. They definitely do, but they're spotted out.
Yeah, they had the ward there outside the pit, which does spot them. KT, they get spotted once again, but they're still going on the Baron here very confidently. Look at Pondo looking to cut them off from behind. They want to turn
Smeb
here.
As well.
Here comes Smeb from behind the Cosmic Radiance. The perfect storm right now for KT. Smeb gets low, but he's still got a stopwatch. It's going to come down. He's going up to Soul. Might actually go down here. Has to back off. Should be able to get Tom Kent on the back foot here, but it's only 1 kill in the engage for KT.
Yeah, KT were always going to turn off, but man, was it beautiful in setup. Weren't able to stick the kills because a lot of summoners were available to Kongdu Monster, but they can just return to Baron, score back to full health. They can start it again. They can turn again. So let's see what Kongdu Monster makes of it with 4 members strong.
No Cosmic Radiance, no wall, no Vladimir Ultimate, but let's see what the side of Kongdu has to say about this. It's going to be up to Roach, potentially, to go for the big engage here. Let's see if he does do it. He doesn't have flash, so it's just going to be a hop on in. Very slowly, they're looking to turn. They don't want to 50-50 this. There's the burst, though, with no vision. They take out the Baron and disengage. Get the hell out of there. say, no, we will not fight.
And those are about the safest you can do of Barons that look like 50-50 Barons. You do it that way, as Dept has his back interrupted, where you basically randomly DPS at a specific number at a specific time based on a team call. SKT would do this a lot. They would start Baron, they would hold it around 3,000 for about 8 seconds, and then instantly DPS it down to say 600 HP to try to burst it down. So it ends up being about as controlled as can be in a scenario where, like you say, outside chance of steal happens, but that was a 95-5 Baron that goes the way of KT Rolster. Further extends the leads, around 10,000 gold now. And turn onto a mountain, doesn't even seem necessary, but it's a freebie for KT.
Yeah, might as well at this point. Just pick it up after taking the Baron and make that Baron push even stronger as they push on in. See which lane they want to go down here. Lots of summoners burned on the side of Kongnu Monster. No flash on Roach, Edge, and Secret even. So it's really going to be up to Raze if they want to even try to engage here, down 10,000 gold.
Some interesting item choices. For example, Pawn has gone for a very early death cap. We'd never see it third item with any reliability, but all it really gives him, given there's a lot of magic resist stacking on the side of Kongnu Monster, is extra damage on the squishies, but I think from his perspective, more damage to minions. It does help him push more. And I think that's the only reason you would go an AP heavy build on Vitalia early, is to feel good about yourself. You've got a sweet hack, but mostly for the push.
It's very stylish, you know.
It is.
In the flavor of the upcoming holidays in Korea.
Right now, just trying to push up this last minion wave bot lane. They've given up on top lane. KT, they get any invitation, will press R on Sejuani on Tarek and go for a dive. So they're not necessarily worried about not playing 3 lanes.
They control all the vision. There's this one ward that spotted them out, and that was about it. Always threatening here for the engage. KT looking good. You know, there were some questions about whether they would be sad and discouraged after their stomping by KZ over them, but so far they've looked very solid in this game.
Yeah, can't disagree. It's good to see from KT. Every team faces adversity and needs to have impressive performances on the turnaround. This so far has been impressive. Looking for the close, there's the Weaver's Wall behind, but what happens next?
Traps everyone, but they decide not to engage, and Mana actually gets very low here. Trying to heal him up, Deft looking for that kill, but nicely timed Devour by Secret. Redemption gets Mana up to health, has the heals as well.
No minion wave.
We're gonna wait for this one. Nice ultimate there onto Roach, but another Devour up. That means 5 members, they're looking for it, but the counter engage here onto the Malzahar, who does flash away. Ray's going in with this last dying breath, says, I will trap 3 of you, but then dies. As KT continuing to push. They want their first inhibitor down at the bottom.
Yeah, showing a surprising amount of respect here. They're quite squishy in build, so Soul is actually registering damage on them. Smeb with a bit of backline impact. Waiting for ults to come back up for KT, but they're still fighting.
Roach wanted that big ultimate, but a nice bait there by Score to have it only hit him up against the wall. And that is going to be a bunch of members now zoned down too low, as they do finally pick up.
Staying for KT, so happy to walk up. Didn't have a second round of abilities because they haven't gone heavy on cooldown reduction or anything like that. They back away, they got the inhibitor. They're desperately setting up for, once again, the Spo TV overlay letting us know plenty of time with the down bot lane inhibitor. Don't know if Drake will be spawning, but only in a while. KT go, load up, spend their now 13,000 gold lead. The next time they get a couple of kills, the game will probably end for KT.
I really like this inhibitor overlay. The only thing I'd say is that the lines on the blue side are a little bit thinner than the ones on the red side for the actual inhibitors, or rather the lanes. So
information is power.
Maybe we can get that fixed next time.
I love stuff like this because I remember the first time I was told that supports were timing flashes way back, like 2010. And I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. I never thought of that. The amount of innovation there's been both in spectating and also stats and bookkeeping has been massive since then, as we got the confirmation that Dev made a casual 805 gold from his Relic Shield. Still some gold generation, even if not as strong as before. So Riot looks at that and probably is okay with it, because at the end of the day, you know, there was a trade-off. Didn't have Doran Blade for lane. Don't know, Kongnu Monster should be okay with the fact that 3 people warded over the
that's just a bit of a lack of communication for sure. At this point, it's kind of like, well, we lost this one, let's talk about the next game, but obviously not talking about their war positioning. And let's see if they can get that under control in the next one. But I don't know about the Relic Shield. I still feel like you're making that much money, like 800 gold for the 350 it costs to pick up. Definitely is worth it. That's what it said in the Korean on the little CT we had pop up. Still worth it.
You don't have the AD. The enemy plays aggressively, perhaps as a way to take advantage of. I feel like every choice, whether it's, hey, I can lane with teleport because the enemy lane didn't gank us, so we were able to get away with having no combat summoner, then it's also great there too. So just thinking about it more broadly is seeing a fight attempted.
They want to get onto Deft here. Nice little Cataclysm, but again, all those defensive ultimates come out. But look at that, Sejuani getting pretty low, trying to blast her way out of there. But in goes Smeb, trying to go 1v3 right now. Might be able to just do that. Executioner's calling, helping out as he does get burst down. But in the end, he does zone everybody away. That means not too many more kills, but more objectives.
And it's also as the minion wave was cresting in the mid lanes. They're going to get a mid lane inhibitor. They're trying to get 3 inhibitors here, KT. Only 1 dead. So they probably can't end the game. Long cooldowns for the members of KT. They probably can't force anything after that, but they're going to feel good about taking 3 inhibs.
3 inhibitors go down. We now have the timers on them on the left. And it's pretty cool to know the timing of that. We will have the Baron buff coming up here as well. Now, 16,000 gold ahead for KT. They definitely have their pick of the litter, as Infernal Drake seems to be the first objective they want to go for.
Cooldowns coming up soon. Weaver's Wall available. Emo Plague as well. Maybe you just want to end this one. We felt like the game was over for a good 20 minutes, but for now at least, unable to close. Closing games in this meta, of course, very, very tricky. A lot of wave clear available. Most of the champs involved in the game provide disengage or have great safety, so getting kills without very strong engage CC is hard, and that engage CC is usually on a long cooldown. So, given how strong the defensive game is right now, BT have stuck around. Hongnu Monster think they're going to take advantage of back timings. Spoilers, they're not.
Yep, here comes Score. They're like, oh crap. We're sorry, we didn't mean it. We didn't want to do Baron. We're going to leave now. But in comes the Cataclysm, and actually Pawn getting a little bit too far forward. He gets picked off. In the end, it is a 1-for-1 trade. They do lose that, but Raze is incredibly low. Will they commit to the 4v4? KT can easily turn off of this one. Roach, though, still very healthy, as is Soul. The poking does come in. Cosmic Radiance now, they are easily going to turn onto Edge. Down he goes, and he wants a little bit more as they take down Roach. Nice chain of corruption to make that a bit easier. And actually, nice dodge there on the ultimate of Gnar. As Mana gets low, Roach almost going to get away, but Smith and Deft do say no in the end. And by the way, guys, in the main base, the Nexus is going to go down. GG.
Minions, baby!
There you have it, 16-4. A big win for KT. Wasn't the most exciting one, but at least it was solid. They came up to play.
A lot of farm lanes could go into it, but given the bans, it felt like too much of a cost to bring Ultra Comfort to KSV. The cost is going to be Ezreal, and might just be a very early reach for an entire bot lane. 4JJ's played a lot of Braum this season. Last time out against BBQ, it felt like they got no value out of the Cosmic Radiance. It was well fighted. They're still going to consider it. It would still be comfort, but I'd be surprised to see it taken this early. And they just lock in Camille, a flex pick between Haru and Cubit.
Yeah, I would expect Cubit to pick that one up, but we'll have to wait and see. The flex pick, as you did mention. They're thinking about taking the Rengar away from Haru here.
So the reason why I actually disagree with that is that it's actually, Camille's a really good matchup into Kha'Zix. So if it's Kha'Zix taken on the blue side, I think they'd like to flex Camille into the jungle. If it's not, then I think that you're right. There is a very real chance we will see the top lane Camille in this game. Let's see Tal on more of his aggressive picks. I know he's got his pocket Trundle as well. That's what it's actually named for, his ID. It's about locking in Trundle to Hal. But it's going to be Varus, just a bit of lane presence taken so far. Look at this, though. They're going to lock in the Vladimir. Expect it to be for the top laner. Expect it to be for Tal. It is aggression. Let's see what KSV makes on this early round drop. There's a lot of CC and AoE wombo from the side of SKT.
Que si tiro la ulti y me los tiro para acá, capaz que maten a mi team y nos boten todo y vaya a ser peor.
Like a Jarvan from the jungle, something like that, to go with the Galio. Also the Zac or the Kha'Zix. Definitely a bunch of picks that you would have to think about banning going into this next phase. The Braum is going to be picked up here for Core JJ.
Usually when you look at the first three picks, you have a pretty good idea of what a team wants to do. And I think KSV will look at SKT and say, okay, they're looking to group up and wombo, something they failed to do multiple times this season. Let's focus on reinforcing our side lanes and being able to play 1-3-1. That's what KSV is trying to do in the draft. Now look at support bans for now. Kench, the first denial here away from Wolf, is still playing a lot of jungle in his solo queue, so taking away one of his famous legacy support picks. But we mentioned the Corki as an answer to the Galio. No mid laner yet selected. I wonder if we're going to see Crown go ultra hipster and go to something like a Victor into this matchup, or really go into a different control mate. Because right now the meta stuff is gone when it comes to the mid lane. The only other thing we've seen him on famously against Galio, he tried one time, it was at the Gangnam Stadium, was the Fiora. I don't think we're going to see that again. His Fiora left a lot to be desired.
Yeah. Please, no. I do not want to see that again. I'm sure a lot of people do, but you envision, right, Khan going in Riven up against the GP up in the top lane, but that's not the way it wins. Maybe it would be a little bit different here, but we are going to have the Malzahar banned out once again up against the Galio.
And really nothing with lane priority against Galio that's been picked with any regularity is available. So I'm very interested to see where Crown will go. Usually he has that small effective champion pool, so a Talia just to wave clear in the face of the Galio seems likely. They're not going to early round it. They're actually going to go for pretty early confirmation. So the flex pick is denied just to hide the mid lane matchup for Crown. Now I'm thinking maybe he'll get super creative, but it is going to be the Orin for the top lane. It's going to be a farm lane against the Vlad, but a free lane for the Vlad as well. Arguably against Galio, something for PSV will get a free lane. You mentioned the Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix and Galio is an old staple. But they're going to go for the bounty castle. The wombo combo is here.
Even better.
Yep.
You get to that back line, we've seen it happen before.
And I really need to see something from Crown that can play the side lane. Talia can do that, but they weren't able to pull up Talia comps very well. The last time out, they looked very poor on the tier 2 losses against the Rocks Tigers. What will we see from Crown as an answer to the Galio? It's an old favorite of his. We don't see this matchup often. It's usually just Cassiopeia into Rise. So on the first day of the season. Okay, so we're going to look for pretty heavy punish. Cassio was indirectly nerfed on this patch because you do draw minion aggro when you go for your twin back. So while it's not really relevant at level 2 because your Q was already drawing minion aggro at level 1, where you just walk up and try to proxy the wave. Faker famously doing that against Maple at MSI. You cannot do that as freely. You do take trade damage, but the Cassiopeia is something they hold on to for a while. Arguably because it's something that's very easy to gank, it is exploitable, but they'd already taken Jarvan, so they're going to pick Cassio for comp. Big mid lane consistent damage, but risky. Cassio is very feast or famine.
He's got to be on his game, right? One of the best disengaging ultimates in the game, but it's really hard to aim. You have to have nearly perfect timing, and it's also hard to pull off against a Galio that's jumping directly on your head. You just can't aim up as Cassiopeia.
And it's much more than that. It does feel like a self-counter bit because Vlad's going to be ghost flashing after you with the hero's entrance on you. Jarvan's going to be diving as well. This is the sort of game where Cassio can't actually get the multiple spell rotations off because there's so much engaged. So very surprising to see it chosen. Good in the laning phase. Potentially you get a big vision lead. SKT are anemic, don't have that item, and sure, you can boss around. But this is a risky choice by Crown, who this season, and honestly, since spring season, hasn't been inviting a lot of attention with his picks. He's gone safe rather than going for a combative choice. He's got his collar up today, he's popped it out. He wants to be the big carry.
Me gusta la ulti que haga,
They
muy
banned away
buena.
his Zoe. He's 5-0 in Zoe, but we don't get
Una
to
pena
see
que
it here
posiblemente
in
vamos a
game
perder,
number 1.
creo.
Maybe in game 2 with the
Ojalá que no.
blue side. Either way, guys,
Así están
we're
quedando,
ready to
pero
go
un
here. The
poquito más de
countdown
descuento.
is about to begin for KSV versus SKT.
Gimnasio
Game
está
number
cargando
1.
un montón.
Let's get into it. well, the SKT fans, they've been doing it for a long time. They were a little bit more together on that cheer. KSB a little bit all over the place. Still very loud cheers for both teams.
Both these fans just 3 months ago, in fact, 100 days ago today, would have been watching at home, you'd imagine, in Seoul, as the World Final between Samsung Galaxy and SK Telecom T1 was played exactly 100 days ago. So cool to see it here again, finally. In different scenarios than you would have expected preseason. It's one of those matches you circle, World Championship rematch, two of our big contenders, at least preseason. This season has been very cruel to SKT fans. They do come off a victory for only the second time of the season. The fans will be thinking, what if? They'll already be thinking, maybe we're back. Blossom showed some great moments and also some big headache moments for fans and coaches alike. He is definitely an ultra wild card. And while KSV have looked weak recently, it is kind of hard to read where this game is at. KSV do come in on paper the favorites, but by what margin? I don't think anyone really has a great grasp on how strong SKT is right now.
It's just the old Samsung and the new KSV kind of dilemma they put themselves in, where they come into playoffs and they come into the world stage and they look so much better. The preparation really pays off, but sometimes in LCK you wonder, what is this team doing? Why is it like this?
Just look at 2017. In the regular season, Samsung actually were able to go 6-2, so 3 2-0s in a row. They had the number of SKT T1, and predictably when it comes to Samsung, they lost 3-0 in the playoffs, as they're wont to do. But it was all about the World Championships, right? Powering up for the World Finals, and then top the world with their win over SKT, especially in dominant fashion. 3-0 to end the undefeated streak of SK Telecom at Worlds. It ended up being Haru on the Camille. It can be a really fun matchup between the Camille and the Jarvan. A lot of mobility, a lot of gank threat from both of them. Just waiting for the Keystones to let us know. There they are. And Phase Rush being taken by Crown.
Haru coming in here early, making things interesting, trying to push Faker out of the lane.
One rotation does a lot of damage.
He's forcing Faker to go back and switch to TP potentially. Faker does stay. He still has one of the procs on his potion. Of course, with the inspiration tree, get some more regen with that.
When it comes to the other choice, Wolf will be potentially doing some cross-map plays, but answered by Pro JJ. Both the supports are taking the Unseal spell, but becoming the standard. Face Rush on Crown. Most interesting one here, so not going to be for lane presence, not the summoner area, it's not the Comet, it is Phase Rush, just for, you know, the kind of machine gun play. It gives you that slow resistance, 75% slow resistance. You are able to proc 3 spells pretty easily as a Cassiopeia once you start hitting your full rotation. It's really about team fights, to stop him being kited as easily. Of course, the query is, will he not just be womboed to death by the enemy team? As Haru not having the most fun with the Krugs.
Is he going to have time to get 3 spells off before he gets dunked by the combo of Galio Jarvan? I was very surprised that they let that go through. We've seen the effectiveness of that before.
But not the effectiveness by SKT in particular. That was with Blank, but their synergy on similar Galio, Zac comps, and other comps, very similar to this one, has been off. Their communication clearly was not fantastic. Now there's a couple less cooks in the booth. There's no longer Untara, there's no longer Blank, both of which with significant competitive experience. What it actually means for their communication, now that they have a true rookie in Blossom and Tal, who's played, what, 11 games, is very interesting to see. They reinforced one lane, no effort in the lineup. There is Wolf here again. Does that mean they actually have their timings down? Because again, it's been very noticeable that SKT have been off when it comes to their usual teamfight synergy.
You have to wonder where they're putting the leadership in their team. We've talked about this before, but as more and more rookies make it into the lineup, is it Faker? Is it Wolf? Is it a combination of them? Does Bang even talk in the comms? Is he any part of the decision making? All big questions to keep in mind. And we're seeing Haru return to mid lane once again, just trying to push Faker back and hopefully out of the lane. So far it's been pretty even. Hasn't really fallen down to the pressure of Cassiopeia.
There's so many questions with SKT. What is their best 5-man roster? I can understand going with this 5-man roster today, but will this be their roster come summer season? Will they be reinforcing? Do they have ultra confidence?
Will there be someone new?
Exactly. These are all questions we can't know the answer to. Blossom is so fresh, and it's fresh for a gank as well.
Well, they did see him in there. I think there was a zombie ward that spotted him out. So DV doing the smart thing. The lane is pushing anyway. So doesn't have to be on top of the wave. Spots Jarvan coming in, knows the positioning, and can return to the lane. It's interesting to see the phase rush. You were mentioning that before. I think a lot of people agree that it is one of the current worst reads that we do have out of the ball. But Cassiopeia might just be the one person to use it effectively.
It's very situational. I agree that the power level could be higher to take it more in a blind sense. There's no champion who you would say is best with phase rush except maybe Aurelion Sol. And even then, Unsealed Spellbook probably outscales it, at least on patch 8.2.
Not bad.
Yeah, Glacial Augment not bad. So, given how situational it is, very, very low usage in solo queue, I can understand the view that it's underpowered. I'm very interested to see how it's adjusted because I think more numbers is not necessarily what it needs. Maybe easier to proc. But
then again, 2 spells is like, there are a lot of people who have 2 spell combinations, and all of a sudden, everybody's going to be taking phase rush and rushing around the map.
Well, that would be akin to the old rune that it replaced, of course, the Storm Raider Surge that did end up being the go-to by the time we hit Worlds. Again, I'm not on the balance here. I don't have the solution, but it just feels too situational right now. When it comes to the secondary tree, it is going to be presence of mind taken. Thank you, SpoTV, for reacting there. That was what I was expecting. Whenever you see a mid lane mage going down that tree, you can be very confident that it's going to be presence of mind, just to have the mana cost disregarded on level up and also on kill.
Yeah, and then of course coup de grace at the end of it there. Just give her a little bit of extra damage towards the end.
A little bit more oomph.
We're looking again. And of course did take Scorch on the Cassiopeia. That can be very oppressive in the lane. We haven't really seen it too much against Faker, but maybe the Gathering Power would have been better in this case.
Yeah, the Gathering Storm could have been considered, but his role is to hold down Faker in the early game, keep him in lane. The issue that he has is that he has that secondary problem of not necessarily the matchup against Galio, it's the fact that Jarvan isn't, there's no aggressive wards. They have no idea where Jarvan is. If Cassio dies twice in lane, she may never crest the items she needs to be able to boss around either Vladimir or the Galio in a side lane. So there's a lot of risk to the Cassio pick. That's why she's being a bit more respectful as top lane.
Yeah, we got a close look at this earlier on in the CGs we had prepared, and already the more experienced top laner is getting the better of our newer rookie Tal, who doesn't even stay to take the wave. Actually just takes TP and goes back, so he's gonna miss a bit.
And okay, very interesting purchase. Does not go towards the Proto Belt. He's actually gonna buy straight up the AP Sightstone item as a 1 buy here. Now this of course doesn't give the speed up anymore. Does give the vision, does give gold generation, does have health scaling to AP. It's a very interesting purchase coming in here.
Well, it's certainly going to help out with their vision score as a team, that's for sure.
Of course, does not get the vision until the quest is fully enacted, so take time.
Haru in a bit of trouble here, but is Camille. Nice Cataclysm coming on in. They force the flash away. Even the heroic entrance being blown here, they really wanted that flash against Haru.
Yeah, the flash was proactive because, you know, when you see a Cataclysm used there, you know the only reason to do that is the hero's entrance. Trading Haru's flash for hero's entrance being on cooldown for a long time is a trade up when it comes to the safety for the laners. Haru's trying to turn on to Tal.
See what he can get done here. Haru was recalling, and Tal in by himself with the... What the hell? They put themselves over the wall, and now Kalio's here to help out. A huge mistake by the side of KSB, almost laughable at the time. And Tal gets away.
Yeah, the mind games around the blast plant was available to all 3 people, but outplayed by Tal. Very nice there. We'll live from all of this. Haru will go on the invade, feeling a bit sheepish. They weren't able to secure first blood. Cuvée, well, he's on, so he doesn't care. Just buys an item and goes back to lane, but...
I just want to get a slow-mo replay of exactly what happened there.
There was no real time for Haru to clear the blast plant before Vladimir got there, so there was always going to be a pretty specific timing. Haru's flash was down, so at least KSV didn't invest any flashes to make that even more laughable. But amusing result nonetheless.
Yeah, it's always funny to play around with the plants. See if they add any more things to the map and the